Hello and welcome to a video from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris the K. A link in the description of my website. Today we're going to be looking at starting up a web server and writing a very basic script, a minimal script for logging information being passed to that server. Again, this is going to be a very minimal tutorial on the basics you need to do this. It's not taking into account any type of security. We're not working with security certificates, usernames and passwords. All that stuff can be set up, but that's not the focus of this video. The video here is about how minimal amount of code you need to log information. Security can be added to this later on, but I'll mention security things again, like we're not using security certificates, username and password, but we're going to use BusyBox. If you watch my videos, you know I love BusyBox. BusyBox may not be installed on your system by default. It's easily installed from your package manager. On lightweight systems, if you're looking at routers, modems, small ARM devices, your phone, BusyBox is either going to be installed or is easily installed as a single binary, and it's 1 to 1.5 megabytes with all your core tools in it. One of those tools is a web server called HTTPD. So if you once you have BusyBox installed, you run it with the HTTP-D, and then you can say -P for a port, and you got to give it a port. If you don't give it a port, it's going to default to port 80, which is your standard web port for websites. In my particular case, I already have Apache running on port 80, so I can't use that. Plus, most systems, to use port 80, you need special permissions. Also be aware, when we're doing this, when we start up this web server, it's being started as whatever user you're starting it as. So it's going to have their permissions. That is a security concern you need to think about when doing this. That this web server can do whatever this user can do. So I'm going to say port 3333. So I just pick a higher port that isn't being used. If I do that, it's going to go in the background. You won't see it running. Just for testing purposes, I'm going to say F to force it in the foreground and V for verbose. That way we can see when information and requests are coming in. We do that and it stays there. Again, if you don't put the F and the V, it will run in the background and you'll have your shell free here. I'm going to go down to a shell here. I'm in a directory. So let's go ahead and open up our web browser. So you can type in your web browser name. I'm using xdg-open because I'm using xorg. This is going to open up a website with whatever my default web browser is. I'm saying going to localhost, which is a current machine. You could also put your IP address in there. And we're going to look at port 3333. We run that and you can see 404 not found. Our server is running because we got that message. We didn't get a message saying it couldn't connect to the server. It's saying file not found because it's looking for an indexed file, an index.html. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm just going to say echo hello world into index.html. Now, if I go back to my web browser and refresh, we have the word hello. We can, of course, open up that index file and we can add something to it like some header tags, and I can say title. Save that, refresh this, and now we have title formatted big bold font there and our hello world. Great, so we have some basic HTML, but we want to run scripts. Well, by default with the BusyBox HTTPD, if you create a folder called CGI in your home directory here, CGI-bin, and then we'll move into that directory, we will create a script. So I'm going to just say vim, I'll call it logger.cgi. You can give whatever extension. We're going to create a bash script, but it can be any shell script, Python script, Perl script, Node.js script. You can even write stuff in C and compile it. As long as it's an executable application you can run in this folder, it will run. Again, as the current user, keep that in mind. So we're going to go in here, and the first thing you need to do, regardless of what programming language you use, well, we need to say bin bash so that we know that this is a bash script. But the first thing you need to do is print this text followed by an empty line. This could actually all be done on one line if you want, but whatever language it is, this is saying to the web browser, hello, you've connected to a server. I'm about to give you some text that is HTML. You can also do plain text, and there's other formats as well, but we're just going to do text HTML. Now we can run whatever commands we want in here, and whatever would normally be printed to the terminal screen will be printed, be given output to the web client, your browser. But we're not going to have any output. We could, but we're not going to. What we're going to do is we're going to say cat dash greater than /log.text. What is this saying? This is saying, okay, take whatever information is passed to this script, print it out, and then put it in this file, append it to the end of this file. So we'll save that. We do need to make it executable. So we'll change mod plus X like any script. And now if I run this, run that command, it just kind of, it prints that information, it kind of hangs there. It's waiting for input to be passed to it, which we didn't pass. Control C to get out of that. Well, now I can actually send information to it right here in the shell. I can use the date command. I can say date or whatever command I want, and I'm piping it to that script. When I do that, we get that same output saying that this is an HTML, but doesn't give any response. You can give whatever response you want. But if we go up a directory, we can now list out files, and not only do we have our folder index.html, we also have this log file. I can cat out what's in there, and you can see it's the date and time. If we go back into that CGI folder and run that date and into the log file again, like so, we'll go back up, we'll cat out that log text again. You can see it's appended a new line with a new timestamp. Great, so how do we send information to that, with another command from a remote computer? Well, what we're going to do is, in our case, we're going to use wget. You could use curl. You could also create a form in a web page that links to it. But we're going to use wget. So I'm going to use, just like we always do, I'm going to say wget dash lowercase q capital O dash. That means print any of the information to the screen, not to a file, and do it quietly. Next, we need to give it whatever information we want. So our script doesn't care what variables are sent to it. It's going to take whatever. Again, anytime you're getting user input to a server, you want to sanitize it. We're not doing that. We're just taking all that information and dumping it to a file. But we're going to say, we're going to post some data, and then in quotation marks, we say, we're going to pass a name. That name is John. And we're going to pass a phone number. That phone number is 555-555-5555. And you can do a long string of variables like so. Next, we're going to say, well, where are we sending that information? We're sending it to, well, localhost. Of course, if you aren't on this machine, you can give the IP address. Port 3333. We're going into that CGI bin, and we're running that script. We'll run that. Again, our script doesn't give any output, so we don't see anything on the screen. But if I was to cat out our log file, we now have that information that was sent. Now, we could format this however we want. We can send JSON, we can send one big long string. This is just a standard way of doing it that most web servers will be set to go through and pull out those variables. If I was to run that wget command again though, and I was to cat out our log text, you'll see it logged it a second time, but it did it on the same line. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take our CGI bin. Oops, didn't mean to go into that directory. I meant to go into that file. And again, very, very simple. I'm just going to add an echo command to log to that log text. That's basically just putting a new line character. There's probably better ways of doing it, but again, we're going minimal here. So now if I run our wget command and I cat out our log file, it's at the end there, but now we'll run it again, and from every line here on out, we should have a new line. So each entry will be on a new line. So again, you can pass any information this way. So I should be able to come in here and I can say the cat ran and it was fast. Let's see what that does. Do that, we'll cat out our log. And you can see that we have the cat ran and it was fast. So even though I did a standard way the first time of sending a string of variables like you would normally from a form, you can send whatever information you want. Any information, any text can be sent to the server and logged that way. And previously I did a video on a GPS tracker that sends some JSON. So basically you set up this script and it will log all your GPS locations coming from that script, each GPS log on a new line. And that is pretty much it. I do thank you for watching this. Please visit filmsbychris.com. That's Chris the K. Again, up here we can just kill the server now, and now it's no longer running. Again, security. We're not using any security keys here, certificates. We are using localhost with our wget command. That's because we're on this machine, so there's no remote machines being able to sniff this. But if I was to put the IP address, if someone's on this network, they'd be able to see all the information I'm sending, because we're not using any username and password, and we're not encrypting it. And if you're not encrypting it and you send a username and password, everyone's going to see your username and password. So there's a lot of security concerns, especially, again, this is being run as my current user who has lots of permissions. So normally you would have a web user that has limited permissions for your web server. Also, anytime you're taking user input from somebody and sending it to a server, you want to sanitize that. We didn't go over any of that. All things taken into account, but not part of this tutorial. Main part of this tutorial was starting up the server and knowing that this is all you need to log any information to your server. And we're dumping it to a log file. Lots of cases you actually want to start saving stuff to database. All depends on what you're doing. If you're just logging information and you're not going to be modifying it, sometimes a log file is all you need. But a database, learning some database stuff is a good idea. But once again, I keep saying it, I'm getting a little repetitive now, kind of showing you that to accomplish things very minimally doesn't take much. To do things properly, you learn with time and you improve upon. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you have a great day.